Welcome back to the Maelstrom, ladies and gentlemen. We have another Warhammer 40k battle report for you today. We're doing 2,000 points of Thousand Sons versus Nurgle. We're going to be playing Maelstrom of War from the chapter approved 2017, and we will be playing Tactical Gambit. The deployment type is going to be pitched battle. The Thousand Sons will be on this side of the table, Death Guard opposite. We have our 6 objectives set up. And obviously in this mission we're trying to achieve more tactical objectives. However, the bonus to this one is you are trying to score, you guess how many you think you're going to be able to score each turn. And then you score extra points based on your ability to match that number. However, if you fail, your opponent gains those points in your stead. Alright, so you have seen the table. We will be back with the armies. Nurgle is getting things started here in the armies. We have a pair of battalions, one of Chaos Demons and one of Death Guard. Starting off with the Death Guard, our Warlord is the Demon Prince as usual. He has the Demonic Axe, Malefic Talons, and the Suppurating Plate. His Warlord trait is Arch Contaminator, and he's running with Miasma of Pestilence. He's got a pair of Bloat Drones there with him, with 2 Plague Spitters each. Joining him in the HQ slot, we have a Malignant Plague Caster. He knows Curse of the Leper and Blades of Putrefaction. Pair of Rhinos for our motor pool to get stuff where it needs to be. And then we have 3 squads of 7 Plague Marines. 2 of them have 2 Blight Launchers, and the last squad here up front has a pair of Plasma Guns and a Champion with a Plasma Gun. Finishing things off are our heavy hitters. We have 5 Blight Lord Terminators with Combi Plasma on 4, and a Blight Launcher on the 5th, and a mix of swords and axes across the squad. Moving over to the demons, we have the Great Unclean One. He has the Bile Sword and the Flail. He is running with Fleshy Abundance and Miasma of Pestilence. He's joined by a Poxbringer. The Poxbringer knows the Shriveling Pox as his psychic power. We then have a squad of 10 Plague Bearers, no upgrades. That's just how we've got them set up for now, because we are building more of them, and that's the ones that are done at the moment. Then we have 2 squads of 3 Nurgling bases. So that is the Death Guard. We will be back with the Thousand Sons.
Okay, so the Thousand Sons are organized into a battalion. The first HQ and the Warlord is an Exalted Sorcerer. He is wearing the Helm of the Third Eye, and his Warlord trait will be High Magister. Psychic powers, he has Prescience and Infernal Gaze. The second HQ is Ahriman on his disc. And his powers are Warp Time, Infernal Gaze, and Doombolt. Then for troops, I have 2 squads of 10 Rubrics. That one has Weaver, one has Glamour. Then I have 3 squads of 10 Zangors. 1 squad has a Brayhorn. We had 10 points left over. Seemed like a good option. Then in the fast attack, I have a squad of 5 Spawn. In heavy supports, I have a pair of Forge Fiends with Hades autocannons and a Predator Annihilator, and then rounding out the list, I have a pair of stock Rhinos.
Alright, you have seen the armies and you have seen the table. We will be back as we get stuck into the Maelstrom. Alright, deployment is complete. Nurgle did finish by 1 unit, so we'll go ahead and walk down their stuff first. The Plague Bearers are standing on this objective. They have the Demon Prince and one of the drones over here with them. Plague Marines with Plasma Guns and the Sorcerer are inside the Rhino. We have our first Blight Launcher squad here behind the Prometheum stacks. Then we have the second drone, the Poxbringer, and the second Rhino that has the second of the Blight Launcher squads inside. We have the Terminators in Deep Strike Reserve, and we have the Great Unclean One coming in from Demonic Assault. Josh, walk us down the Sons here.
So I put the Terminators in Deep Strike. On the far right, I've got the 10-man Zangor squad, both squads in the Rhinos, and then the 10-man Zangor squad with the Brayhorn. Followed up with Ahriman. In the center, in defilade from long range fire, is the Predator, with the Exalted Sorcerer standing behind it, the 5-man Spawn squad. Both of my Forge Fiends on my left, backed out on the extreme left by the 3rd squad of Zangors.
Alright, so the Death Guard did finish first. They're going to get +1 to their roll. Oh, 1. Let's see if we can continue our trend and give it to the other guy. A 5 will do it. I assume you are going first, yes? Mm-hmm. Alright, Thousand Sons opening volley coming up next.
Okay, so Thousand Sons' turn is complete. We advanced with our entire front rank on the right side. The Zangors managed to get one guy within range, but it didn't matter because the Rhino also advanced, and it is within 3 of that objective. The other Rhino advanced, both of them popped smoke, since it's not really going to do us a whole lot of good to fire a couple of storm bolters at basically an armored wall, so we'll take the -1 to hit. The squad in the middle that was behind the bastion moved up and advanced and were just out of range, so Ahriman moved up behind them and cast a warp time on them to get them within range of that objective so that we would be holding it. The Exalted Sorcerer put prescience on the Predator Annihilator, and we got 4 hits and only rolled 1 wound, and he rolled a 5 up on the drone for his invulnerable save. So, nothing doing there, c'est la vie. The 2 Forge Fiends, one of them took a Demon Forge, and they combined fire on the Plague Bearers standing on the objective down there, and managed to get 4 through their invulnerable saves, and they're disgustingly resilient. And everything else stood pat and is holding their ground.
Alright, so for objectives, we were looking at Arcane Right, which is going to be discarded. Supremacy, which scored 2 points, and Overwhelming Firepower, which he did not score yet. His gambit for the turn was 1, so he's going to come out of that turn with 3 points. We've also got a morale check to do on the Plague Bearers. A 4, we'll see 1 more of them flee. And then we're going into the Death Guard, turn 1. Death Guard will also be gambling 1 point. Alright, Death Guard have finished up turn 1. First off, for our objectives, we drew up Psychological Warfare, Secure Objective 3, and Grandfather's Gift. So I'm not sure what's there on Objective 3 in the center, but it is apparently very important. We went ahead and moved the entire army to try to score everything that we could off of those Zangors. We went ahead and moved up the squad behind the Promethean Pipe. We advanced the Poxbringer and the Rhino on this flank, popping smoke. We also advanced this Rhino. However, before we did that, we moved the Plaguecaster out, and he and the Demon Prince set up to throw some psychic support. Smite from him was able to get a couple of guys. Curse of the Leper failed. We then put Miasma of Pestilence on the drone up top. And then we put the Shriveling Pox on this squad from the Poxbringer. We then proceeded to spray them down with all of our Plague Spitters. They rolled very hot for their invols. One guy did survive all of the Plague Spitters, and then we fired up the Blight Launchers from back here, and they were able to bring them down and score Grandfather's Gift. So we will score Grandfather's Gift, Secure Objective 3, thank you Nurglings, and First Blood there, along with our 1 point for our Tactical Gambit. Have the Thousand Suns decided how many they're going to gamble next turn? 1 point. Alright, seems safe to me. So that's it for turn 1, fellas. We will be back for turn 2. Alright, we realized following turn 1 we were playing with too few objectives, so the Thousand Suns are going to go ahead and drop to 4, starting on turn 2. We've got Witch Hunter, Defend Objective 4, Overwhelming Firepower, and Secure 1. So Defend Objective 4 is going to bring them back here to the Plague Bearers, and Secure Objective 1 is down here. Josh, go ahead and tell us about your turn.
Okay, so drawing the Secure Objective 1 was kind of fortuitous because nothing else that we drew was a guaranteed, so at least we didn't lose our Tactical Gambit since the Zangors were already standing on Objective 1. No loss there. We moved and advanced both of our Rhinos further into our opponent's field. We moved Ahriman back onto our baseline and slid our Predator Annihilator out to get shots on a drone. We moved our Exalted Sorcerer and our squad of Spawn kind of back away from the front edge and moved up the Zangors on my far left. In the shooting phase, the far left Forge Fiend took Demon Forge and fired on the Plague Drone there and did a ton of wounds. I think we got like 8 wounds out of that one Forge Fiend, which is probably a good thing because the Predator Annihilator went first and got 1 wound. Total. With a prescience, rerolling 1s to hit. He only hit twice and he only wounded once. And then we rolled a 3 for the damage, and he stopped 2 of them with Disgustingly Resilient. The last points were knocked out by the second Forge Fiend, who finished it off to score Overwhelming Firepower for us. And
it also popped and dealt a wound to the Nurglings, to the drone up here, killed a Plague Marine, and wounded the Sorcerer here, so made none of those DRs. So made it a little bit more rough for it going down.
And then with the finishing of the shooting, we went ahead and charged with these Angors into the Nurglings around the corner there.
All right, we'll be back after the assault phase.
Okay, so the assault phase wraps up. We managed to kill the wounded base. They had 2 wounds left and leave a second base at 1 wound. And we locked the Rhino with our consolidation moves and kind of tagged in on the Nurgling so that they couldn't get away from us with a fallback move.
All right.
For the turn, we got overwhelming firepower for the drone and secure objective 1 for the Zangors and our tactical gambit of 1.
Yep, so 3 more points to them. Goes to 6-4 at the end of turn 2 top. Nurgle response coming up next. Death Guard turn 2. We are up to the assault phase. Death Guard drew Kingslayer. Priority orders received for secure objective 6, Supremacy, and Witch Hunter. Objective 6 is the objective here by the Demon Prince. He barely had to do any work to get a hold of that one. We went ahead and moved the Marines out of their Rhino, along with deep striking in the Terminators. We played Cloud of Flies on the Terminators to protect them from the Forge Fiends and Blades of Putrefaction in the Psychic phase in case they were able to make a charge. The Marines then took Veterans of the Long War. They, along with the Terminators fired here, dealt this fool probably 15 wounds, and he shrugged them like a boss. He is down to 3 points, but he did take a pretty good drubbing and stay in the fight. Those 5-ups were definitely here to represent today. We then charged with these 2 units into the Zangors. We were unable to get over there with the Terminators just because the distance where they deep struck in. We'd used Demonic Assault to bring the Great Unclean One in down here. He cast Miasma of Pestilence on his little buddy in the HQ slots, who then threw Shriveling Pox up the field onto these Zangors. We advanced our drone over, and we fired his guns, and that was able to bring down 5 of these in the shooting phase. Then in the rest of the shooting, we fired both squads of Marines and the Smite from this Malignant Plaguecaster into this Rhino. We dealt it 4 wounds with all that. The last 2 Blight Launcher shots wounded. He failed the saves. We dealt 3 with one with the other. I figured, what the heck? You only live once. Burned a point and rolled another 6. So we did destroy the Rhino. 3 rubrics died when it went up. However, it did explode. It did 3 points to my Rhino, 1 point to his Rhino, which also took a couple more wounds this turn. And killed, no, it wounded a Plague Marine, but he made his save. I did take 2 wounds on the Herald, however. I then overwatched, lost 1 Plague Marine on Overwatch to these guys before we launched our charge. They're going in along with the Herald and the Plague Bearer, or the Great Unclean One, who's able to make it in. He also killed the last 2 here. You can see that there are 5 markers, not 3. He killed 2 with his Plague Flail. The Rhino, we then said, well, what the heck, he's 12.5 inches. We'll go ahead and try just to see if we can lock those Zangors. 2 6s. It's been one of those turns for the Death Guard. Alright, we got several assaults to work, and then we will be back. Alright, the assault phase rolls to an end. The mass of guys here were able to bring down all of the Thousand Suns. We didn't actually swing with the Marines. The Great Unclean One and the Poxbringer were able to kill them off. They did counterattack before either of those went and attacked the Marines, but weren't able to even score a wound. No armor saves even needed, so not very good rolls there. The Great Unclean One then crushed 1 of them with a Crushing Bolt, destroyed 2 more with his sword, and the last 2 went down to the Bell Sword. Over here, the Marines, the Demon Prince, and the Nurglings were able to bring down 7 of the 10 Zangors. They are going to go ahead and spend 2 points to be fearless, because if they die, that gives me priority orders received, but right now where they are still in range, the Marines are required in order to cancel that out and give me the option to hold it, so I cannot hold that objective with the Demon Prince. So until they go down, that point is still not scored. That was it for close combat. And then down here, the Rhino did charge in. He did nothing and lost 1 point to the Zangors. They paid 2 points to fight twice and still weren't able to do anything other than the 1 wound. They will need a morale check though. They did lose 5 guys. 6, 7, 8. So what, 1 more? Or they're good because they're leader, right? Good. Okay. All right, so they're in good shape. That is the end of the turn. We're going to score 2 for Supremacy. We're going to score Witch Hunter for killing the Squad Sorcerer here. And we're going to score 1 point for our Gambit. So that'll be 4 points up for the Death Guard, 6 to 8 in favor of the Servants of Plague at the moment. We will be back after the Thousand Suns respond in turn 3. Thousand Sons will be starting off this turn with Witch Hunter, behind enemy lines, mission critical objective on 2, and advance.
Okay, so we got a squad out of the rhinos and advanced their rhino all the way down to the baseline so that we would guarantee we had one unit in their deployment zone. We deep struck the Terminators in back there on the baseline. Wish we had a third one to put out there, but we really don't at the moment. We desperately needed the rubrics in the middle of the table to abort what could have been a terrible incoming. In the shooting, the rubrics had to split their fire because there was a cloud of flies on the Terminators, but they came up pretty big. I think they knocked down 3 of the 6 Marines that were left in that squad, and then the Forge Fiend on the baseline knocked the other 3 down almost without blinking. It was kind of insane. His saves fell apart and my wounds went really high that turn, the whole dadgum turn. The second Forge Fiend didn't have any other target other than the Rhino in front of it and punched 4 wounds out of it. The Terminators that deep struck in were initially going to shoot the Death Guard Marines, but since they were all gone by that point, turned their bolters down on the Plague Bearers and wiped them out and fired their missiles at the Great Unclean One and missed. Shouldn't have called them missiles. Old jinx there.
Oh yeah.
The rubrics attempted to charge on the Terminators and failed their distance and lost 1 guy to plasma in Overwatch, but the Spawn made the charge and only took 1 wound, and Ahriman made the charge into the Terminators.
Alright, so we'll be back after we work these combats.
Okay, so the assault phase is rolling to an end. The Zangors down here knocked down 1 Marine and knocked down a base of Nurglings and wounded the last base, but were wiped out in return. In the center, Ahriman and the Spawn managed to knock the Terminators down to 1 guy due to some critical use of command points and some rerolls. He managed to save 1 guy.
Yeah, Disgustingly Resilient came in bigger. I would have been wiped there.
And on the end down here, much to the shame of the chickens, the Zangors lost 2 to being run over by the Rhino.
Yuck. Alright, so the Terminators rolled a 4 for their morale. We had to look that up. I could not remember what their morale was, or 5 rather. But we did find that was a 9. I went ahead and rolled that in a previous video that we have cut out and edited now. So he is hanging around. What else you got, Josh? That was it, right?
Yeah, for the turn we score 1 point for behind enemy lines and 1 point for our tactical gambit.
Yeah, okay. So that'll put the Thousand Sons back in a tie at 8-8. We will be back after the Death Guard respond. Alright, the Death Guard are starting off with Big Game Hunter, Death March, Secure Objective 2, and Priority Orders received on Objective 6. So we went ahead and fell back with the Terminators. We put Grandfather's Blessings to bring one of them back to life. We then fired in the shooting phase with the Marines. They advanced and then they fired on the Spawn, killing all but one of them. Left it at 3 wounds. We're charging into it as well. The Rhino moved up here. It made a charge, lost 2 more wounds, but made a charge against the unwounded Forge Fiend. Over here, we were able to smite Ahriman. He was unable to stop it and took 3 mortal wounds, leaving him at 1 wound for the coming combat. Prince has charged into him. Down here, we circled this Rhino up trying to get Big Game Hunter. We got Blades of Putrefaction off and dealt it 1 mortal wound with Pestilential Fallout, but both of our smites failed on this end and we were unable to do anything else there, and shooting fell on its face and did nothing. So it does have 8 wounds, unlikely that we're going to get it, and we did gamble 2 points. We really needed that, so we're probably going to give 2 points to the Suns there. The Plague Father guy moved over here. He cast Smite here and killed 1. And then rolled a 10 for his charge range. And he's going to be in combat with them. And what else? I think that's it. And then we also charged in with the Nurglings and the Bloat Drone into this squad of rubrics. So we will be back after we work these mini assaults and see how it goes. Alright, Nurgle came up with a pretty decent assault phase. The Great Unclean One came in here and smashed 3 of the Terminators. The Sorcerer Terminator was not able to do any damage in return. Over here we took Veterans of the Long War on top of Blades of Putrefaction. With that and the characters we were able to bring this down to 3 wounds, but weren't able to kill it. The Prince was able to smash Ahriman, and he was able to get into combat there, and he's just in range to hold that objective still, so we will score priority orders received, but we will not score any other points this turn. So we're going to give up 2 points on our gamble to the Thousand Suns. Charged into the spawn, dealt it 1 wound, and it dealt 1 wound back and killed a Plague Marine. Over here was a gong show. Nobody died anywhere. 2 Nurglings took one, or 3 Nurglings took wounds, made all 3 either on the invul or disgustingly resilient, and the drone was failed to save, took 1 wound from the staff, and made his disgustingly resilient. Over here, the Zangors were able to punch another wound in this Rhino, and Rhino did nothing in return. And down here, the Sorcerer heroically intervened to keep me from locking both Forge Fiends and was able to punch me down to 2 wounds. So that will put the score at 10 to 12 in favor of the Death Guard. Thousand Suns coming back in turn 4. Alright, the Suns are spinning this turn with Domination, Witch Hunter, Mission Critical Objective on 2, and Defend Objective 3.
So we fell back out of combat with the 1 Forge Fiend. Hopefully there's not something else that can get to him and lock him up in the coming turn so we get some of that firepower back, because we're pretty thin across the board at this point. The Spawn fell back and made a run for Objective 2. He is not within 3, so we won't be scoring that one. The rubrics that are locked in combat remained because we drew a Defend Objective 3 card. They did cast Weaver of Fates on themselves to hopefully give them the staying power required to be there at the end of my opponent's turn so that we can score some points there. The Terminator Sorcerer cast Smite, knocked 1 wound out of the Greater Demon, and
the Predator failed.
Predator failed for his, what turn is this? This
4th
is turn 4. 4th shot in a row. I really, really want to find something else to do with his points.
Yeah, just terrible luck. 3 1s to hit, and then a 1 to wound. The Plague Marines emerged unscathed. 1 was knocked down by the Forge Fiend. That's over here. Alright, so we're ready for the assault phase. We will be back once that's finished.
Okay, so with the fight phase concluded, not a lot of decisive things in the favor of the Thousand Suns here. The Rhino walked away pretty much unscathed. The Great Unclean One did what we expected, crushed the last Terminator. The Thousand Suns left the Nurglings with 1 wound, but were unable to do anything to the drone.
But you did wound him once. You did get 1 wound through. So he's down 1.
And the Rhino was crushed by the swarm of bodies that have been encircling it for a couple of turns now.
But he did use a Warp Flame Gargoyles, and that got rid of 1 of the guys. He was trying to snipe the Poxwalker on a good luck there on a 6, but he did get 1 of the Marines. Alright, so that's it, right? Alright, and unfortunately they were unable to score any points, so they are going to give 1 point to the Death Guard. 10 to 13, Death Guard turn 4, coming up next. Alright, the Death Guard drew behind enemy lines, no prisoners, Death March, and Secure Objective 2. We had gambled 2 points for this turn. So we advanced everything that was still back here in the backfield, moved everything forward. The Plague Caster lived up to all the insanity that he has done a million times before. He threw Curse of the Leper here, passed on a 10 that was not denied. Pestilential Fallout got 1, and then he rolled 5 over their toughness and killed 6 of the 10 guys solo. He then smoked 2 more, and the last 1 or 2 were killed off by... I don't even remember what we did with it, but it was Psychic Phase. I mean, everything that happened there happened in the Psychic Phase. Oh yeah, it was another Smite from the Poxbringer. The Marines had moved over here to contribute to this fight. They turned around then at that point and rapid fired here and were able to destroy the Forge Fiend in the backfield. The Terminator, the Rhino, and the Bloat Drone moved into that deployment zone to score D3 for behind enemy lines, and we fired the Plague Spitters there to do 3 points. We also moved the Nurglings back, just to get them out of combat, and we close combated here with the Spawn. We went ahead and rolled that. He was able to kill the Spawn. So that will be the end of the game. The game kind of blew wide open there. We scored 3 points for no prisoners. We scored 2 points for behind enemy line and 1 for secure objective 2, which puts it at 10-22 in favor of the Death Guard. So that will be a Nurgle victory. We'll have after action reviews and army lists at the blog as always. Be sure to give us a like on Facebook. A subscription on YouTube, though, is what we're looking at more than anything. We appreciate all of you who have done that in recent days. As always, guys, thanks for spending time with us today at the Maelstrom.